Good afternoon. Welcome to News Track on Channels Television broadcasting from Lagos. I'm Mao Kwelgum.
And I'm Temitope Gwede. Here are the stories and reports we're tracking at this hour. The President, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, has today commiserated with families of those who lost their loved ones or property in the bomb attack on the premises of the force headquarters in the Federal Capital Territory. Dr. Jonathan was at the police headquarters to assess the extent of damage caused by the bomb blast, called on Nigerians not to panic, assuring that the federal government is investigating the incidents.
Well, the President described the incident as a terrorist attack, which could be targeted at anyone, but that the country will soon get over it. On hand to take the President round the explosion site was Inspector General of Police, Mr. Hafiz Ringem. The President said that the attack was not just directed at the Inspector General of Police, but the entire country, and that government was on top of the investigations to unravel the perpetrators. Well, 2 persons died in the explosion that left 33 vehicles burned and 40 others damaged at the Nigeria Police Headquarters car park in Abuja. Narrating the incident was the nation's police spokesman Olushola Amore, who told a news conference that a suspected suicide bomber drove into the premises at 11 o'clock in the morning with a traffic warden who was trying to direct the bomber into the car park for searching.
Firefighters working to put out fire from damaged vehicles at the police headquarters in Abuja. The fire was caused by a loud bomb explosion detonated by a suspected suicide bomber. According to the police, the suicide bomber drove into the police headquarters shortly before 11 o'clock in the morning. Unknown to a traffic warden who led the suspect to the car park near the gate, he entered the car with the visitor for searching and checking. At 11 o'clock, a device believed to be a bomb went off in the car, causing policemen at the headquarters to run helter-skelter. 33 vehicles were burnt, while 40 others were damaged.
The Inspector General of Police has expressed his displeasure over the suicide bomb attack on vehicles at the Force Headquarters Abuja car park. The unfortunate incident, which led to the death of the suicide bomber and a police traffic warden, occurred at about 11:00 hours when the suicide bomber vehicle was intercepted and directed to the car park for searching and checking. The traffic warden who entered the vehicle of the suicide bomber to direct him to the car park was blown off along with him, that is the suicide bomber, as soon as they got to the car park. The IGP wishes to appreciate the efforts of the fire servicemen, NEMA, the Armed Forces Fire Service, who promptly responded to put off the fire. The body of the suicide bomber has been recovered and an investigation has commenced. Members of the public are assured that the criminal elements behind this dastardly act will be fished out, as the government, the police, and other security agencies will not succumb to the demand of any criminal group or individuals.
The police said it suspected the radical Islamic group known as Boko Haram for the bombing. Mr. Amore said the group has issued several threats before the explosion.
Well, definitely we'll be suspecting those group that go by the name Boko Haram, who has been issuing threat upon threat, and for which the police is rising up to that challenge. You remember we just came back from Maiduguri, where we took about 10 APC to rise up to the challenge of the insecurity in Borno State.
Besides the deceased, 9 people were injured in the explosion. The head of surgery at the Sokoro District Hospital, where they were admitted, said they were in stable condition.
All of them came here, but they are, just when you came in the morning, they are not stable. What I mean by stable, cardiovascular system is normal, respiratory system is normal, the person is breathing fine, is stabilizing as well, they are not. So we still have to discharge them to another, a police health facility. We brought in the 2-3 police doctors, gave them the history, the biodata, the clinical condition at the time we were discharging them. back to the police clinic. If they were in serious condition, we would have discharged them. But they are stable, and so short. Just so one that we actually need maybe observation for the next 24 hours. But generally speaking, they are all stable. So none came out of all the victims that were brought in here alive, all left alive.
The police has promised to provide more information about the bomb explosion at the end of its investigation. But while the nation awaits the outcome of that investigation, the police need to answer the following questions. How did the police conclude that the suspect was on a suicide mission? If he was discovered to be on a suicide mission, why was he allowed into the police headquarters without screening at the gate? Is it the practice to ask a traffic warden to enter into a visitor's car to direct him to the car park for what the police called searching and checking? These are some of the questions the Inspector General of Police needs to answer in the ongoing investigations.
Meanwhile, militant Islamic sect Boko Haram has claimed responsibility for the bomb blast at the police headquarters. Spokesperson for the group, Usman al-Zawahiri, in a statement posted on Voice of America website said, quote, "We are behind it and we are going to attack the entire north and other parts of the country, including the capital, Abuja." The self-acclaimed Boko Haram spokesman is reported to have also told the VOA that Boko Haram personnel returned from Somalia 5 days ago and have been deployed across northern Nigeria. Earlier this week, the group laid out its conditions for a ceasefire and government-proposed peace talks. But Mr. al-Zawahiri says for the moment, those efforts at reconciliation had collapsed and security agencies should prepare for intensified attacks.
Well, there have been reactions coming in concerning the latest bomb blast in the nation's capital. Senate President David Mark has expressed grave concern about the spate of bomb blasts, which he said was a threat to the security and corporate existence of Nigeria. He enjoined security operatives to rise up to the challenge and arrest the situation. Senator Mark contended that no matter the grievances or anger in resorting to violence, terrorism or wanton destruction of lives and property cannot be a way out. And from those of the House of Representatives, Speaker Aminu Tambawal has commiserated with the Inspector General of Police, victims and relatives of those affected in the blast. According to him, the incident is most unfortunate, coming at a time when all hands were on deck to enhance the frontiers of peace, unity and national security. He pledged a resolution of the House of Representatives to provide whatever legislative intervention necessary to resolve the crisis and uphold the relative peace and stability which democracy offers. On his part, the Niger State Governor and Chairman Northern Governors Forum, Muazu Aliyu, has condemned the attack, describing it as horrendous and cowardly. He noted that the killings, maimings and destruction of public property will never bring any good to the society. Governor Aliyu, who wondered why anybody would unleash such wave of terror on innocent citizens for any reason, says no innocent citizen of the country should be allowed to pass through such traumatic ordeal again. In Cross River State, South Governor Lee Al-Moki has commiserated with families that lost loved ones in the bomb blast and tasked security operatives to intensify efforts in ensuring adequate security in the country. Governor Moki also appealed to aggrieved members of any group to channel their grievances through constitutional means rather than resorting to violence.
Just hours after the explosion hit the police headquarters, Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital territory, another bomb hit the town of Damboa, 90 kilometers of the Borno State capital, Maiduguri, leaving children dead. The Borno State Police Commissioner, Mr. Jinjiri Abubakar, told Reuters news agency that the children were playing in a compound near the church when the blast went off, killing the 4 children and wounding another.
For Boko Haram, a radical Islamist group which wants a wider application of strict Islamic law across northern Nigeria, is suspected of being behind almost daily attacks in Borno State for several months now.
We'll take a break now. When we return, Union Bank of Nigeria PLC has recorded pre-tax profit of 36.45 billion naira. That's on Business News.
Please stay with us. Welcome back. An Abuja High Court has granted bail to the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Dimeji Bankole, and his erstwhile deputy, Mr. Osman Afada, who are standing trial for allegedly committing criminal breach of trust when they conspired between themselves to approve an upward review of allowances and running costs of members of the House of Representatives. Justice Suleiman Belgore granted the accused persons bail in the sum of 50 million naira each, with two sureties who must not be below the rank of a permanent secretary and must be residents in Abuja.
The court also ordered the former Speaker and his deputy to submit their travel documents with the court and not to travel out of the country without the permission of the court. Justice Belgore ordered the accused persons to be remanded in EFCC custody pending when they are able to perfect their bail conditions, while trial has been fixed for July the 19th.
Well, Nigeria has been described as experiencing a turning point in its economy, and the country's women, numbering about 74 million, have been put forward as fundamental players in accelerating development. This is the observation of Dr. Robin Sanders, former U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, who was a guest speaker at the opening of the Foundation for Skills Development Seminar held in Lagos, Southwest Nigeria. Dr. Sanders emphasized the need for entrepreneurs to practice sound business plans, good accounting practices, training and retraining of the nation's human resources.
The fact that you are producing, designing, employing, and innovating represents the leadership role that SMEs play in the development of any nation, particularly in Nigeria, given the creativity, the ingenuity, the dynamism that exists in every sector and every part of this nation. You are or will be the country's middle class. And with that comes certain responsibilities. Not only do you fill the development enterprise space in the world of the private sector, but more importantly, as the country develops, a strong middle class also offers other social changes that should take place in your country.
There is overwhelming evidence that small and medium-sized enterprises run by women are major drivers of economic growth. Is that the situation in Nigeria as at today? No, but we know that that change is coming, and we will also be able to do what China is doing and what other nations that have the kind of population we have are able to.
As business news now, a federal high court in Lagos has ruled that the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Lamido Sanusi, lacked the absolute power to sack bank executives without disclosing the findings and recommendations of the special examination conducted into the books of the respective banks to the affected directors. Justice James Soho held that although the CBN has power under Section 35 of the Power of Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act to regulate and control the business of banking, when such powers would fundamentally affect interested parties, there should be disclosure.
While ruling on a suit filed by some aggrieved shareholders of Afribank against Mr. Sanusi's action, Justice Soho dismissed the preliminary objections filed by the CBN and its appointed directors, saying that the objections could not be sustained in law. The shareholders had instituted the suit through their lawyer Onyebuchi Aniako against the CBN and other defendants, including Afribank MD Neboli Sahara and 4 executive directors of the bank. Justice Soho has fixed September 26 for hearing of the motion for a stay of proceedings. Nigeria sold 70 billion naira worth of 3-year and 5-year sovereign bonds at its 6th debt auction of the year. According to the Debt Management Office, it sold 35 billion naira piece of the bonds, which mature in 2014 and 2015 respectively, at an auction on Wednesday. Yields were higher than at a previous auction in May at 11.69% for the 3-year paper and 12.75% for the 5-year paper. The 3-year paper had been issued last month at a marginal rate of 11.03%, while the 5-year bonds were sold at 12.23%. The DMO said total subscriptions stood at 153.15 billion naira compared to 129.22 billion naira last month. The central bank issues bonds on a monthly basis as part of measures to finance its budget deficit, curb inflation, and control money supply.
Well, just before we go on break again, the President, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, has today commiserated with families of those who lost their loved ones or property in the bomb attack on the premises of the force headquarters in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Dr. Jonathan, who was at the police headquarters to assess the extent of damage caused by the bomb blast, called on Nigerians not to panic, assuring that the federal government is investigating the blast.
He described the incident as a terrorist attack which could be targeted at anyone, but that the country will soon get over it. On hand to take the president around the explosion site was the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Hafiz Ringim. The president said that the attack was not just directed at the Inspector General of Police, but the entire country, and that government was on top of the investigations to unravel the perpetrators.
Well, we'll bring you more on that story in our subsequent bulletins. Time for a break now. When we return, I have diplomatic immunity. That was one of the statements credited to former IMF boss Dominic Strauss-Kahn as part of transcripts released on his arrest.
For information you can trust about men, women and children's health, then tune in to Health Matters, a live phone-in program on Channels Television.
I always feel tired. All my body, my bones.
We have moved from our traditional diet to the westernized diet.
Health Matters gives you facts about health, providing everyone with information on a wide range of medical, physical, emotional and behavioral issues that affect humans from both medical and non-medical experts.
Anemia is something that we should really worry about.
About 100,000 children die in infancy because of that.
Health Matters comes your way every Saturday at 12:30 p.m. It's a must-watch.
Welcome back to News Track. On the foreign scene, there are reports that Syrian troops traveling on tanks, armored personnel carriers and buses have moved into 2 northern towns. Security forces are gathering in Kenan Shekun and Marat al-Numan, a town of 90,000 people between Damascus and Aleppo.
Well, the United Nations says no fewer than 1,100 people have died as the government has violently sought to quash protests over the past 3 months. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has urged Syria to halt the bloodshed and stop killing people. But President Assad is facing the gravest threat to his family's 40-year ruling dynasty, as unrest that first erupted in the south of the country has now engulfed the north near the border with Turkey and is threatening to spread eastwards towards its border with Iraq. Well, in Europe, Greece's Prime Minister has announced changes to his cabinet. Evangelos Venizelos is the country's new finance minister tasked with tackling a crippling debt crisis. The country's former defense minister replaces Judge Papa Constantino, who has moved to the Environment Ministry. Other movements include Stavros Lambrinidis, who was formerly head of the ruling Socialist Party's group of deputies at the European Parliament, who has been promoted to Foreign Minister, Deputy Defense Minister Panos Meglitis, and Deputy Labour Minister George Koutramanis has been given ministerial post. A proposed reforms to the country's economy have sparked riots in Athens and nationwide strikes while rattling global markets. The country is seeking to make budget cuts worth 28 billion euros over the next 4 years. The leaders from France and Germany are meeting to discuss further assistance aimed at preventing Greece defaulting on its debts.
Former IMF chief Dominic Strauss-Kahn, has complained about being handcuffed and initially claimed diplomatic immunity when he was arrested for sexual assault in New York. Transcripts released by prosecutors in New York reveal the detail of the day he was arrested at the city's JFK airport. He has recently resigned from the IMF and is living on bail in New York, where he has pleaded not guilty to charges of sexual assault on a hotel chambermaid. His lawyer, Benjamin Brafman, has however refused to comment on the release of the transcript. Nigeria's Dream Team 5 chief coach, Austin Ogwavan, has admitted his frustration at fashioning out a formidable sport against Tanzania in this weekend's 2012 Olympic Games qualifier. A rush of injuries has depleted the Nigerian side, with high-profile players like Daniel Uchechi, Rabiu Ibrahim, Nosa Igebo, and Nnamdi Uduamadi set to miss the crucial encounter scheduled to hold in Benin City, Edo State.
Well, the former Super Eagles defender is confident of victory over the Vijana Stars of Tanzania, who have a 1-0 lead from the first leg played 2 weeks ago in Dar es Salaam. Meanwhile, WBB Venlo hitman Ahmed Musa has joined the team's camp 6,